In this video, I'm going to show you how to use Piazza. So starting from the Canvas Orientation for Faculty and TAs course site in Canvas, I'm going to scroll down to Piazza in the left-hand navigation bar. And when I pull up Piazza, you'll see that it posts a dashboard. So this dashboard will update as frequently as the site has been used. You can see already that it's showing me that I have 5 unread posts, no unanswered questions, and no unresolved follow-ups. And then it gives me a summary of how much activity there has been on this page. This is a brand new site, so that's why there is limited activity. But I will point out that you will automatically have unread posts when you have a new Piazza site for your course, because Piazza automatically provides some introductory notes here on the left hand side of the dashboard. So let's get started with the other areas of the site. There are several tabs across the top of the screen here. You'll notice that there's this number 76. That number is with a red background and white lettering, indicates how many unread messages you have. So if you click on the down arrow, this is where you'll find a list of all the courses where you are enrolled, and because I am enrolled in multiple courses, it's showing me how many unread messages I have in each of those courses. So it's a good quick way to see how much activity there has been since you were last on your particular course site. Then we have the Q&A, that's this main dashboard site, a tab for course page, another one for manage class, and a new tab that Piazza has under development for careers, and it allows users to see what's going on with people outside of Piazza and outside of UC who are using Piazza. So let's start with how you would manage your course. On the course page, this is a tab where you can set up announcements and other general information. Typically, we don't use this resource within Piazza because we are using Canvas and provide all of the announcements and other information about the course through Canvas. So let's move on to Manage Class. This setting also has multiple tabs. Under the general settings, it starts with class information. You will not have to create anything on your own because Piazza is integrated with Canvas. We've set up your course with Piazza through Canvas, so the links and so forth will automatically be set up for you. As you scroll down, though, you can make changes to the Q&A settings, whether you want to allow students to post anonymously or not, whether you want them to post privately or not, and whether you want to allow some syntax highlighting. Any changes you make here, you'll always want to click on the Save Changes button to save those changes. Moving down to configuring class folders, this is an area where you can organize the information in your course. Now, Piazza has already set up a series of default folders, but let's say you want to set up some folders of your own. You would click on Edit Default Folders, and this is a place where you can choose from the different topics that Piazza has already established as default settings, such as assignment, final exam, lecture, and so forth, or you can create your own topic. So if I click on that, I could say, I'll call it poll. And then it asks you how many of these folders you want, and you can indicate anywhere from 1 to 50. So I'm just going to choose 1 here. I'm going to add it, and you'll notice that when I scroll down the screen, you'll see we have some custom folders here, but then we also have a folder preview, and what has been added into the list of folders that Piazza had created is the one that I created called poll. Okay, so I could save my changes here if I wished, and then I can continue to scroll down. This is an area where you can enroll any TAs or other professors that you want to have access to your Piazza site. Currently, I have the other instructional designers who are in UC Online have been added to this site, but all it takes is to put in the email address of your TA or other instructor here, click on Add Instructor, and by clicking there, it automatically sends an invitation to that person to be enrolled in the Piazza site. And if I continue to scroll down, you'll see enroll students. You will not have to use this area for your course because, again, Piazza is integrated with Canvas and we receive daily data feeds from the campus registrar of which students are enrolled in the course. Then they are automatically enrolled in Piazza as well by virtue of being enrolled in the course. So you'll never have to add students here. And then lastly, you can enable group-based discussion. This is an area where you can decide with your instructional designer whether you want to use the discussions in Canvas, the groups function in Canvas, or whether you want to use it within Piazza. Okay, so I'll just scroll back up and I'm going to return to the Q&A tab. And here you'll notice that just below the blue banner is an area where there's a beginning list of folders. So as you recall, Piazza had developed a series of default folders, homework 1, 2, 3, and 4, and that's what shows up here. And over time, this list continues to update. So for example, as you move forward past homework 1, 2, and 3, and 4, then 5, 6, 7, etc. are going to show up here. Then just below that area, there is another list of possible options, and this is where you can determine how you want to see the feed. This is called the feed of posts and how they appear to you. So the first item is you can choose to see only the unread feed, only the updated feeds, the unresolved ones, or those that you're following. And if you move over to the right hand side here where the gear icon is and click on the down arrow, this is another place to get to those same options and just check off the one that you want to use. You can also archive your feed or mark them all as read. And then of course view in compact mode. I'll just show you what that looks like. It just takes away anything that's below the header. So those are your options here, and then just below that line is another area where you can create a new post or you can search for a post. Let's start by creating a new post. You'll see here that the first option you have is to determine whether your post type is a question or a note. And you'll see that Piazza provides some hints underneath each of these options. So for example, under question, you would choose that post type if you needed an answer, whereas for a note, you wouldn't need an answer to whatever it is that you're posting. So let's start with a note and then we'll move on to a question example. Below that, you have an option to post to the entire class or to individual students. We recommend that you always post to the entire class because the beauty of Piazza is that it's a way to communicate quickly and efficiently to everyone in the class without using email. Now again, we have the folder structure. So Piazza wants to classify your note or your question post according to the folder structure. So I'm going to use poll since that was the folder that I created, and then I'm going to put in just a brief summary here. Let's see, notice about poll. Okay, and as I scroll down, you'll see that I have a very basic text editor where I can decide whether to use bold or italics, how do I want to align the text, and whether I want to make a bulleted or numbered list, whether I need to insert a link, add an image or a file, whether I want to use a math equation editor or enter some code, and so forth. So I'm just going to enter a basic note here. This is a notice to inform you that a poll will be posted soon. Okay, now below the text field there are some options. I could check the box that says make it an announcement, and I could also check the box that says to send this email notification immediately, and you'll notice in parentheses it says that doing so would bypass their email preferences. We have not covered where to set your preferences yet, but I will get to that. So let's just go ahead and post the note without those items. Here's the note. You'll notice it takes the place of what was the dashboard, so it's showing up in full here. You'll notice too that the folder that I use, poll, appears below the text of my note. I could go back and edit the note if I wanted to at this point. Then you'll notice to the right, I could also indicate that this was a good note. It seems like that's not really necessary here, but basically anyone can comment on a note or a question. Then to the right under actions, you'll see that I could convert the note to a question. If I had indicated the wrong type at the beginning, I can go ahead and change that. I could change the visibility, so originally I'd sent it to everyone, but I could change that. I could also take away the history. That's one thing about Piazza. You can see the history over time of all of the entries that have been entered here. As the instructor, you have the ability to flag something as being inappropriate as well as to delete it. These are not options that are available to students, though. Then you'll see just below the note there's room for a follow-up. So that means that someone who comes after me in posting this note can then post something as a follow-up. And I'm going to just enter something here. What are we expected to do with the poll? Okay, and I'm going to post that. Notice under the text box again, I can click on post or preview. I could switch to a plain text editor, or I could cancel out of this entirely. But I'm going to go ahead and post it. And you'll notice that when I did that, many things happen. One is that this was a follow-up discussion. So this red banner appeared, and it's indicating that the default is that this is an unresolved discussion. So something needs to happen with that. You'll also notice that next to my name there is an I, and that I indicates that I'm in the instructor role. So if I were a student, this would be an S instead of an I. Also notice that in the left-hand side of the screen, under the feed, my note was posted, and it's in beige, which means that it hasn't been read yet and it's a brand new post. And also below it, in red, it shows that there's an unresolved follow-up. So this is a way that Piazza uses color and notices to get your attention that there's something to pay attention to that you didn't see the last time, or that has changed since the last time that you were in Piazza. Okay, so you might think, all right, how do I resolve that? So since I'm in the instructor role, I'm sort of doing this all on my own, so it's a little bit different than how you would work with a student, but let's just go ahead and resolve it. So I will reply to the follow-up discussion, and I'll just answer the question, and I'll say just complete the poll by the end of the day on Friday. Okay, and I'm going to click on resolved and post it. So you'll notice that what used to be a red banner has now been grayed out, and the red notification for this post in the feed on the left hand side has gone away, and it indicates that this question has been answered, and now there's nothing left to resolve on this discussion. So you can see, though, that this iteration could continue because a new follow-up discussion could be started immediately following. Okay, so that's how to post a note. And now, what if we wanted to create a question? So we'll just go back and click on New Post. Click on Post Type as a question. Again, it's going to go to the entire class. And this time, I'm going to use exam as the folder, and I'm going to ask a question about the final exam. And I'm just going to ask my question. Okay, and you'll notice under posting options again, I could override the email notifications. I'm not going to do that at this point, but I am just going to post the question. So two things happen here. You'll notice that because this is a question rather than a note, that there's an icon to the left of question with a question mark. So that distinguishes it. Then you'll notice too, because it's a new post, it's in red. It's an unanswered question currently. So it will stay in red until the question is answered. You'll also notice that just as with a note, I could go in and edit this question. I could also mark it as a good question. I'm going to do that so you can see what happens. When I click on good question, a notice gets attached to the question that an instructor thinks this is a good question. And this message will always appear in green, and this is a way for instructors to reinforce the questions that students might ask through Piazza. So it's a way to encourage students to continue to ask questions if they feel that that they realize that instructors are paying attention to how they're using Piazza and the questions that they're posing to each other and to the instructors. Then this is a way to reinforce that behavior. So now I'm going to go ahead and indicate an answer here, a response. I'll just say you'll need to sign up okay. Okay. So that's my entry there. I'm going to submit it. And now that I've submitted it, the red lettering for the subject line has changed to gray because it's no longer an unanswered question. It has been answered. So those are the basic parameters for how you would use notes and questions. Now, one other thing I should point out, since we've talked about how you can use notes and questions and you can override notifications, well, this is where you find notifications. To the right hand side of your name is a down arrow, and it includes multiple options here. You'll want to go to account and email settings. And what shows up here is, first of all, your name and password and email address. Do not change your email address because this is the address that has been used to set up your course. So ideally you would keep that the same. Now under class and email settings, again, because I'm enrolled in multiple courses, I have a long list here, but if your course is the only one that's using Piazza, you'll only have one list. So if I go to this course for fall 2013, you'll notice that as I scroll over the different courses, they are highlighted in yellow. Then you'll see that there is a Smart Digest setting for new items and a real-time setting for updates. So these are the default settings that Piazza uses. But right next to it, I could edit those email notifications. So my options for new questions or notes are to get them in real time, have no email at all, receive a daily digest or a smart digest, and the default setting is every 2 hours, but you could change that anywhere from 1 hour to 6 hours. So I'm going to say no emails. And then for updates to questions or notes, so this is different. This is updates rather than new questions or notes. But if you just want an update, then you can determine whether you want it in email or in real time or no email, or just automatically follow every question and note so that you don't have to think about it. So I'm going to say no email and click on Save Settings. Okay. Alright, so going back up to the page, you'll see here that Piazza allows you to look at the features list and to turn off tooltips or to contact them and report a bug. I have not encountered any bugs, but they're very responsive if you have any questions, so feel free to do that. And then of course you could always go out to the Piazza homepage and look at testimonials from other instructors from other schools and see how they are using Piazza. Okay, now to the left of your name is this little chart icon, and it says class statistics. So if we click there, you'll notice that the dashboard changes to a statistics page, and it shows a chart, but right now there is so little activity it's really not particularly useful. But you can change the chart to show you unique users per day or posts per day. So again, there's so little activity it's not showing, but this is a way that you'll see how many contributions you're getting in the course, and which students are the top contributors. Since we don't have any students in this demo course, we don't have any names showing up in this column. But this is a place where you might want to award participation points for student contributions to the discussion in Piazza. And then of course below that I have an instructor participation report, and currently I'm the only one contributing as I'm producing this video. The other option here, besides seeing the chart, is you could pull down a CSV file, and you can choose to open it or to save it, and again you'll get the level of activity and by which persons are contributing. You could also do a bulk download of any poll statistics that you might use. So those are the statistics that are available in Piazza. Okay, so earlier I had talked about when you're entering a new post that you can insert files and images, and so let's review how to do that. So I'm creating a new post with a folder of other, and I've entered my summary. So under insert, first I'm going to start with a file, and it's going to take me to my hard drive. So let me start with clicking a file, and it gets added as a link. That's the attachment, and I've chosen Adobe Connect Breakout Rooms. So now I'm going to insert the image that goes along with that document. I'm going to upload that new file. Oops, go to the image, click OK, and there I have the document along with the image for Adobe Connect Breakout Rooms. So I'm going to go ahead and post that note. And now I'm also going to create a new post around inserting a link. And here the best option is to first of all type in the URL. Here I'm using a simple one, it's just Google, but you'll notice that as I type the URL in the field above, it typed the same thing in the field called text to display. But typically the text to display should be a shorter name, something more intuitive that will be easier for users to understand, especially if you have a particularly long URL. So I'm just going to shorten it to Google, and my target could be none or a new window. I'm going to leave it as new window and click on OK. And then I'm going to post my note, and you'll see that we have an active hyperlink here with the hand that shows up as I scroll over as I hover over the word Google. Okay, now the last area that I want to return to is the feed. Earlier in the discussion I mentioned that there are ways to delete what's here, and so you'll notice as I hover over any of these posts, it produces a menu of options. The first item is type @11 to link to this post. If I scroll down the feed, each post has been assigned its own number. Okay, so you can see that my numbers jump from 7 to 10. And why is that? That's because earlier I had deleted a couple of other posts, so they do get numbered sequentially. But if the numbers are no longer sequential, it means that something was deleted. Now, I had mentioned earlier that an instructor can delete any post or question from everyone's feed, but you'll see here in the menu that another option, another way to keep your feed uncluttered is to archive things. And when you use the archive function, it only hides things in your feed, not from everyone else's feed. So why would you want to link to a post? Well, as much as Piazza is useful for ensuring that questions only get answered once by students and they can go back and search for that question, it's possible that students will ask the same question again. And because you know you've already answered it, you can use this type @number scheme to link to the prior post in your response. So since this is type @10 to link this post, let me create a new post. So I will show you how to do that. I'll just call it link to another post. And again, it was @10, and I will just post that note. And you'll notice that the @10, it becomes a hyperlink. so it gets connected to that other post. So if I click on it, see, it gets connected to the breakout room post, which was the at 10 post. So that's how you can link posts together. Another important feature in this menu is to pin. So what does it mean to pin something? You'll notice here that I have a pinned header and a today header. So over time, the headers will be dated. So anything I've done today will show up tomorrow as September 17th, and then today will just continue to update. But the pinned area will always stay at the top. So if you want to ensure that a message, a note, or a question is always at the top of your feed, then you can pin it. So I'm going to unpin this one because it was a message from Piazza, and then I'm going to pin something else. So let me actually pin the link to another post, and when I click on it, it automatically goes to the top. Okay, so you'll notice that because I unpinned the other post, now there's a 1 next to it saying there's been an update since I last viewed it. So I just click on it and then the number goes away. So it just wanted me to look at it. But meanwhile, the link to another post stays pinned to the top. Okay, so that about does it for my review of Piazza. I hope it was helpful, and good luck.